joins. I do hope that we'll be ready to continue our, let's say, nice journey on regeneration and supporting green business by Pomorskie. So it is my great pleasure to navigate you through this breakout session. We do hope that our session, which we split into 3 presentations and mutual discussions in the end, will find your interest. So we have 90 minutes, 1 hour and a half, during which we will dive into the impact on the offshore sector. We are proud of here in Pomorskie. We also would like to inspire you to act through regenerative economy and leadership concept, highlighting strong responsibility of contemporary leaders and their attitudes towards nature. But before we start, I would like to say hello to all the participants from I do hope not only from Baltic regions, but also from Kaliningrad, because Kaliningrad is hosting city this event. So nevertheless, I would like to answer the question why we take the leadership and this regenerative economy into the scope, because crisis situations are a good moment for leaders to show our credibility and fidelity in the values and principles we share. And my and your guests will be such leaders, architects of change, and who, for important reasons, received the mandate of trust of the Baltic Sea State Sub-Regional Cooperation Organizers, and Pomorskie. On behalf, we are here to present the green outlook of our region, activities and insights to share experience. I do hope that our participants also will be willing to share their achievements or any other insights to share, and how we support our region in green energy transition. So let me briefly introduce our actors in order of the appearance. We are still waiting for Ewelina Beyer, and she is a senior associate. Ewelina is here. So
hi, hello. I had difficulties getting here, but I'm finally here.
Yeah, but you are. So you are. So great to see you.
Yeah, sorry for being late.
That is good entrance, because I'm just describing yourself. So Ewelina Beyer is a senior associate in Pomerania, and you are in charge of handling incoming foreign direct investment projects from logistics and industry sectors, yes? And Ewelina will invite with her presentation on Pomerania, giving energy sector overview, the topic which is very vibrant nowadays, when reaching the 2030 with CO2 emissions reduction goals, yeah? And then we have Mr. Łukasz Dąbrowski. Hi, Łukasz. He described himself as a graduate from Gdansk University of Technology and appointed at the economic department in the office of the Marshal of the Pomorskie Voivodeship. As the person, he is responsible for offshore wind energy, hydrogen technology, and renewable energy themes. Łukasz will comment the film, which is in 3-minute story about how diversity approach fosters technological and non-technological innovations here. Then we have Faasse. Hi, Ad. And he's a graduate in civil and economic law. He worked in the police, military, and in a civil servant in several government organizations. He founded several private companies and was a member of Water Board General Assembly in Leiden. He is experienced manager and facilitator that developed and runs inspiring projects. I do confirm that. As a result of the accident, he gained access to the power of sensitivity. He learned the uncertainty in the fact that sensitivity and openness give a new dimension to the quality of work and life. So he will, in 15 minutes, he will tell you about the idea of regeneration and rebirth people in understanding of our responsibility for the planet, climate from the perspective of a person living in the Netherlands, a country that experiences water scarcity. And myself, I will close the first part of our meeting with the presentation on solidarity regenerative leadership concept, which I aligned with the R. That addressed the BSSSC for a more comprehensive understanding of culture. not mentioning that famous Polish artist Witkacy, quote, "Art is a human being added to the nature." So what is the beauty of the art and nature together? My name is Barbara. For 15 years, I've been designing, leading the executive MBA education at Gdansk University of Technology. Before uni, I've been working for General Electric. Now my ambitions are covering sustainability and regeneration society concept with the research in that field. And having to say that, I'm very much involved in education, and I was appointed as a mentor at the United Nations Association Poland, which is called Ambassador of Sustainable Development. And this program is addressed to students edition, and I have great pleasure to mentor it. So that will be also the program which promotes the sustainable development goals, and ambassadors who will be, to implement at least 2 projects contributing to the implementations of 2030 Agenda Poland. So having said that, may I ask you, Ewelina, representing Invest in Pomerania, to get us through the story on green energy, which drives our region to the greener future?
Yes, I will start the presentation.
Can you share your screen for
yeah,
us?
could you enable me to share screen, because it seems to be disabled?
Oh, so does it mean that
I think host has to do it, but I'm not sure who the host is.
Yes. So we are waiting for the host. Piotr, could you just enable us to share our presentations? That will be really lovely.
Hi, so basically to share your screen, you have to have a co-host. Let me check one thing. Yeah, you have to be a co-host, Ewelina. So to do so, you have to leave this breakout room, go to the main one. After that, our colleague will give you the permissions as a co-host, and have to go back and share your screen.
So Piotr, when we talk about these technical things that just make solutions, I have also some presentations, so I will have to do the same story. And
let me check. Yep, you should do the same thing because you are no co-host.
Okay, so we will be very patient.
Okay, so as soon as you two will be in the main room, I will pass the message to my colleague and they will give you the permissions.
Okay, so we are just waiting for the permission for Ewelina.
Okay, so I will leave and then come back.
Okay, see you soon. See you soon. You know, we are just facing things that we are used to, because it's when COVID started in 2020, we got immediately into the internet and online access. We are still learning, so we're developing our skills. So no worries, we will be waiting for Ewelina. She will join us. You can see on my background the picture of the Baltic Sea to the Sopot and Jelitkovo seaside. Well,
okay, so sorry to interrupt you. Ewelina should be back and she should be a co-host already.
Yeah,
wonderful.
So Barbara, if you want to do so as well, please leave this meeting and then you will be
Okay,
a co-host as well.
Leave breakout room. Yes.
Yep.
So I guess I'll wait for Basia to come back in order to start the presentation. I'm very pleased to be here and tell you a bit more about our regional economy, especially in terms of energy development, because it's a really interesting subject.
All right, so Barbara should have the co-host options as well, and as soon as she's ready to be back, then you guys should be all good to go.
Okay. Oh, Basha, are you here?
Okay, looks like you guys should be ready to go.
Okay, so let me start again. Hi, my name is Evelina. I work in Invest in Pomerania, just like Basha said. I'm a senior associate in charge of handling projects from especially from industrial sector as well as real estate. And I'd like to share a bit information about Pomeranian energy sector. So to start with, I wanted to address where Pomerania is located. So we are the most northern region of Poland, located, of course, next to the Baltic Sea. We are one of the regions in Poland which are the best in terms of GDP growth. It was 8.6% in 2019, so we were in the top 3 among Polish regions, and the biggest agglomeration in Tri-City is Tri-City in Pomerania, which consists of Gdansk, Gdynia, and Sopot. They have together almost 1.6 million residents, and in Tri-City there are 2 seaports located. So to start about Pomeranian energy sector, I wanted to introduce you a bit to Pomeranian energy mix with focus on renewables. The part of the ratio of produced to used energy in Pomerania is pretty low, so it's a bit more than 50%. It makes Pomerania one of the biggest importers in Poland when it comes to regions in terms of energy. So that's a big issue in Pomerania, the stability of energy, because we don't produce enough energy for our needs. But the great thing is that there is a lot of renewable energy installed in Pomerania. In terms of production of renewables overall, we have the 4th biggest share in Poland, and in terms of production, we are 3rd. So it's a pretty big spot in Poland, and as you can see on the chart on the right, the biggest part of our energy mix in terms of renewables is wind power. So we are as a region leaning towards renewables. As you can see on this slide, the share of renewable energy is pretty big, 52%, a lot more than share in Poland, which is around 15 to 17% in last recent years. And it's been constantly on that high level, so it's a thing to be proud of, definitely. In terms of energy usage, the year-to-year electricity consumption rise on average is 1.8%. It is pretty much the same as in Poland. In Poland, it's 1.5%. And we studied rise of electricity consumption in Pomerania in the last 5 years. And as you can see on the attached chart, the biggest rise was definitely in transportation and energy sector, followed by agriculture sector. But the biggest consumption actually is industrial sector, and the rise in industrial sector is around 12%. So it's not that high when you consider that it's a 5 years of rise. So that was a quick overview to get you to know more about the industrial side of Pomerania in terms of energy usage. To start the topic of renewables, Pomerania has a great potential to grow in that regard. First of all, we have the biggest energy storage in Poland, or we will have in the nearest future. It's planned to locate on Pomeranian region as energy storage of capacity of 27 megawatt hours. So it's the biggest one in Poland. We also have, as a region, a very high productivity of wind turbines, which is around 30%. It's a lot more than in Poland. The Polish average is 25.5%. So it's definitely advantageous to locate wind turbines in Pomerania. And there's also a big potential to develop new wind farms. We also have a great potential in hydrogen production. It's good to thanks to refinery, which is right now one of the biggest hydrogen producers in Poland. Right now, it's of course it's not a green. It's not the green hydrogen, it's the black hydrogen, but we definitely hope for it to change in the future. To tell you a bit about potential of inland wind farms, it's definitely worth mentioning the Potęgowo wind farm. It is the biggest wind farm in Poland. It was built at the end of 2020 and is now working. It has 81 wind turbines overall, and the total capacity is around 220 megawatts. So it's a lot. It's one of the largest wind farms in Europe, and it's located in Pomerania. So that's a thing to be proud of, definitely. One of the largest topics in terms of renewables in Pomerania is definitely wind offshore. It will be a big player in the next years, especially that right now it is planned to build almost more than 6 gigawatts. The first offshore wind farms are set to start production around 2025, 2026. So it's the estimated time. And in the closest future, it's definitely can grow and will grow. Like Poland in the future to 2040 is set to build around 11 gigawatts of offshore wind farms, with total Baltic Sea potential estimated to be around 93 gigawatts overall. What is the advantages of wind offshore? Definitely, first of all, is the green hydrogen production. As I said, it is connected to the possibility of building more energy storages, as there is a lot of energy to be stored, especially in the peaks of the production. Green hydrogen production is has big potential to be developed in Pomerania. Also, one of the biggest topics is the use of local content. It is the wind offshore sector can be very advantageous towards our companies from Pomerania and from Poland overall. And definitely one of the biggest upsides of wind offshore is energy security. As I already mentioned, Pomerania doesn't produce all the power that it is needed in the region. So definitely building such power in the nearest neighborhood of Pomerania will be definitely advantageous for our region. To tell you a bit about trends in FDI, I wanted to tell you a bit about two things. First of all, the climate neutrality that we have in Invest in Pomerania definitely noticed that incoming investors ask for possibilities to use 100% of renewable energy and ask us how to do so. The another trend is passive buildings as investors grow interested in the possibility of building passive warehouses and offices, which are very energy efficient and require minimal energy for heating. I wanted to tell you a bit about the companies which facilitate the green transformation in Pomerania. The first one being Nordvolt. It was a one of the biggest announcements of investors in Pomerania. The start of production was in 2019, and this year it was announced that the project will have a second stage. With the target employment growing from 100 people to almost 500 in the second stage. What is Nordvolt? Because I haven't told you about that. This is a Swedish manufacturer of batteries, and the batteries which will be produced in Pomerania will be used especially for energy storage right now and the mining industry, and in the future it will be used in electric cars. Also in Pomerania there are conducted R&D activities for Nordvolt. Why did the Nordvolt choose Pomerania? So the first of all is location near port of Gdansk, which is very advantageous in terms of exporting the products. The proximity, near proximity to Swedish plant and end customers, which are located in the next to the region. Also, Nordvolt said that the personnel in Pomerania is very well educated and price competitive, and Pomerania is a region with economical and political stability. The two companies which I will tell you a bit more about are connected to electric vehicles sector, with Greenway being a company which goal is to install charging stations EV charging stations in Poland in the number of 630. The company offers various services connected to EV charging stations, such as buying, delivery, installation, and so on. And the investment of the company is $36 million overall. And the third company, as I already said, also operating in the automotive industry, is Enelion. It is the producer of electric car chargers and ecosystems management software for electromobility. They have been operating in Pomerania for 5 years as of now, and have grown to have gotten a lot of big companies which want to be their partners. And for to say a bit about that, it's companies such as PGE, Taron, Energa, which are one of the biggest players in Poland in terms of energy. Thank you very much for attention, and if you will have any questions, please let us know. I guess we will get to them on the chat, right, Basia? And yeah, at the end of the discussion, thank you for hearing me out, and I give the voice back to you, Basia.
Okay, thank you very much, Evelina, and I will be very happy to have some words of comments or questions. Evelina, could you just unscreen or unshare your screen? And then audience, of course, will be they're welcome to have some questions when we have Evelina in place. Yeah. So having said that, thank you very much, Invest in Pomerania, because we know that you are doing good things for greener future. And when we raise the importance of 17 goals of United Nations Sustainability Development and mapping the indicators for green transition, which is called the affordable and clean energy, which is seventh goal of that part. Pomeranian offshore activities are among those which are a proof of evidence of our commitment. Isn't that so? So to support development and renewable energy in Poland and reaching the European energy and climate targets in 2020, Pomorskie established a Pomeranian platform for development of offshore wind energy in the Baltic Sea. And that initiative brings together the representatives of the local governments, experts, researchers, and scientific institutions, supporting businesses and the sector related to renewable energy Evelina was talking about. So building the effective supply chain for an entire sector. As a result of they just promising, in 2025, Pomerania will be supplied with energy produced by the first Polish wind farms in the Baltic Sea. And why diversity matters in Pomorskie and why energy is a woman, please join us with this video. I'll try to host it with, so please, join me with that. Okay. Can you see? Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm just checking when you can hear the voice.
Not yet.
Okay, so I have to unshare, okay, because this is the sharing policy. Share sound then. And when we have, okay, now it should be right. Okay, once again.
It's like our novelist Hurwicz said, nobody knows everything, so you have to concentrate the knowledge of people around one table. Our Pomorskie Offshore Platform has over 70 members right now, and those members represent different stakeholders for the whole investment process in offshore. We have concrete results of our actions within the Pomorskie Offshore Platform. This is the changes in legislative process. This is the changes in law. My role in the Pomorskie Offshore Platform is that I am coordinating the activities, and I'm a kind of innovation architect, I would say. I'm a kind of facilitator. I'm trying to concentrate the knowledge of different people representing different entities, different institutions around one table to have the platform that we can generate new projects, new possibilities for development, also the competitiveness of our region, the boost of economy. There were many activities and people who helped the project to be run, because it's not only my success. The project is the cooperation within people. For example, the core group, those are the people, the high-level experts of offshore who help me and who advise me.
In Polish, energy is a woman. Karolina is a living proof that this is true.
Karolina is the woman in energy and with energy to develop the offshore wind industry in Pomerania and to create possibilities for smaller municipalities like Rumia to be the part of this process and to contribute to European Green Deal.
In my opinion, Karolina belongs to very rare species regarding civil servants. She is very business-oriented, very innovative, very open to new solutions.
She is like Pomeranian rocket ship and nobody can stop her.
In the near future, we would like to set two goals. The first goal is to build the Center of Competence for offshore renewable energy and to create even better cluster cooperation. The Pomorskie Offshore Platform will be like an umbrella for the cooperation, to higher the level of cooperation and to raise the quality and the quantity of projects that we will be realizing, conducting through the offshore investment process.
Okay, thank you very much for watching this movie. I do hope that everything went smoothly. And while having that, it is also planned to establish an accelerator for the offshore wind farm industry and to build a competence center for the offshore wind energy. That is really brilliant for all of us because, and I would not answer this, but we made some comments from Mr. Łukasz Dąbrowski. Is it so that we will still vote for Ms. Karolina in Women in Energy Award and European Sustainable Week?
Yes, I will to ask you for voting for Ms. Karolina for its effect of all project of the Pomeranian platform. The voting is open until 22 of October, so every voice vote.
Yeah, so it is very crucial to even not only showing how we are potentially a big party of building the renewable energy in Europe as coming from Baltic region, but also that diversity matters, that women are in charge for driving these changes. Łukasz, could you just put some comments on that again?
So in Pomerania, the changes have always women faces, and we knew that the huge potential of the woman from our region in solidarity movement, and the woman is also accelerator of the changes in energy sectors that is thinking that men specialization, and Karolina shows that's not true and breaking another glass roof. So it's amazing, and
so you and Pomorskie are again the real proof of evidence that everything is possible.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next speaker in our breakout session is Faasse from Netherlands, and he will invite you to journey of regenerative economy and society for green transition and bridging this promising concept with towards 17 sustainable goals achievements. Art, how are you?
Yes, thank you very much, Basia, for giving me the word. At first, I want to thank the organization and Pomorskie region for allowing me the space to share my thoughts with you, the audience. And I feel a bit humble when I hear about all these initiatives. Yesterday, I heard the introductions during the conference. I feel proud to be able to take part in this for a very small part. I feel at home when I see all these talks about cycled paths and water, because I come from the Netherlands, so I feel very acquainted with it. And I want to bridge between what is said about energy and my specific thoughts. So I will share my presentation now, and I hope Technic will allow me to do so. Yes. At least.
You are doing very well.
Well, your screen sharing. What do I do wrong? Do you see my presentation?
Yes. That would be nice if you put on the presentation mode just on the bottom.
Okay. I don't see my regeneration is more my business than ICT. So
Okay, just turn left and left and left.
Yeah.
Just.
I don't see. Yesterday with it went smoothly.
Yeah, but
If you want to present your presentation full screen, you have to go to the bottom center of your screen. There is an icon right next to you. See the plus and minus scrolling thing. Yeah. So the icon, no, the icon next to it on the left hand side. The first icon. Yep, go a little bit lower. I will try to guide you. Lower, you see the book icon, so you have to press the one right next to it. No. Other side. Yes, that's the one.
Navigation.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. No worries.
Okay, thanks for your help. I invite you to have an open mind. Like the Dalai Lama said, the mind is like a parachute. It works best when it's open. And I want to show you some other perspectives on, for example, the topic of energy. Energy is connecting every part of society, every part of economic activity. And I want to bridge, to make a bridge between techniques and nature. And the best thing I could do is to look at what is possible with looking at nature's design. And when talking about wind energy, offshore wind energy, I took the example of the humpback whale, which has a very interesting technology in its flippers. This is such a design that allows for more efficient use of the system, less maintenance, and 20% more power with the same thing. And it is working with tubercles or bumps on the wings of the windmills. This is a technology which stems from nature, and it is developed in the last century. And I guess it could be enabling the acceleration of wind power and green energy. It also opens a lot of new other opportunities as well. So it brings me to Albert Einstein. What I see in nature is a grand design that we can understand only imperfectly. I guess, at least I believe that when looking at nature in a very thorough way, we as a society could benefit without losing quality, but improving development. I'm not talking about growth, but improving development. It also requires responsibility and a kind of humility for ourselves, for our efforts, and for nature. So trying to combine nature with the developments in Pomerania, I came to the following things, also thanks to the conversation with Lukas, Nikolai, and Evelina. And we talked about developments in the port city of, the port of Gdansk. And I made the connection with mushrooms to the left, in the left corner of this picture. How to use space in an optimal way and how to combine functions. And nature shows us that it is possible to do that in a very beautiful and very intelligent way. So talking about the use of energy and the growing demand on energy, I would say that please have a look at how nature solves its energy problems and look how we could diminish the demand or the use of energy, which benefits all of us. Another thing is how to allow biodiversity in these developments. And then I was shown this beautiful incentive by placing beehives in the area of the port authority. And I made a connection with the picture on the right side down. These are the premises of Heineken Brewery in the Netherlands. They claim to be on the path to a CO2 neutral factory. And then you can ask the question, why do bees are involved? Well, the entire factory premises are bee-friendly realized. And this meant that the real estate is, the value of real estate is going up. The appreciation of the workers on the premises are also going up, which means a low sick rate. The relationship with the environment, with the surrounding city quarters is improved because people like it. And even it is an incentive for example, a glass manufacturer. They went to Heineken and said, well, you have a good bee strategy, and we also want to have a CO2 neutrality in our business. So please help us in finding the best way to realize this. And this generates a new community, a new economic activity. And for the people who are very interested in this, a Wall Street banker wrote a book, The Nature of Investing, and Ms. Collins went to investigate the processes of bees, the decision processes of bees, and related this to financial decisions. And I must say, if you read the book, it is very revealing and showing that we could and maybe should have another way of looking at financial and economic decisions. Talking about regeneration, one could look at the book of Paul Hawken, and regeneration is a concept of thinking which has a lot of aspects. And I go into this without referring to all kinds of things of the linear economy. Regeneration is about being a human being. At this point, I want to remark that we human beings are not raised by way of a procedure or a protocol or whatever. So we are raised, we are stemming from nature, and I would suggest that we should do more with reconnecting with nature. Regeneration is about connection and reciprocity. During the conversation with the people in preparation of this conference, we all talked about communities, connecting, etc. Then my question is, how connected are we really? Are we communicating in such a way that we actually reach people, that we inspire them and motivate them? Or do we have a kind of one-sided communication, say, well, this is good for you, and please take it as it is? If people are connected, if people are inspired, then you will have different results, and you might even have, or you will have, an acceleration of the policies that you want to promote. Being head of several departments, I was always interested in the creativity and the inspiration of my co-workers, because then I will have the real results. There are 6 organizing teams, which I will not go into everything, but equity is one of the very important things. Equity is most times related to shareholders and how much money do you have in your bank account, or how much property do you have. But in essence, it is about fairness and impartiality. It's also about reduction, protecting these things that are really valuable in life. The goal of life is to survive and thrive. And I would suggest to think about creating conditions that allow others to thrive, because if others thrive, like in an ecosystem, other animals thrive, most times you thrive as well. And what opportunities do exist for us within the structure of other places or organizations? And are we allowing changing conditions, or are we sticking to the protocols and what we are used to have? Creating a change that increases opportunities. Well, it is inspiring to listen to the people of, for example, the agency, the development agency, how many opportunities come on their desks, and then it is about how to facilitate them, etc. Another important point is turn competitive relationships into a benefit. On the bottom, I showed you a buffalo, which is not the most friendly animal in the world, and very dangerous, but it has an oxpecker on its head, which removes the ticks. And this seems to be a minor activity, but the buffalo cannot do without the oxpecker, and the oxpecker cannot do without the ox, because that's part of his food chain. So mutual relationships, beneficial relationships, tend to endure. And in this respect, I want to draw attention to the relationship between industry, industrial development, and the inhabitants of Gdansk or Tri-City. Because every company needs well-educated people and a stable political environment, but also an environment where their own persons, where their own workers can thrive and feel very happy. And I must say, I'm always impressed by the environment of Pomerania and how Gdansk scenery is developed. It's really beautiful, pleasure to be here. The SDGs were mentioned before, and I want to show you a pathway towards designing regenerative cultures. It is not rocket science, it is combining a lot of things. It is a new design paradigm, it is a new way of looking at things, coming from degenerative development, resulting in the SDGs, which were talked about and discussed in 2015, and we are now 2021. Then my question is, what did happen in these past years? You can also look at the SDGs as a framework, as a compass for future developments in the direction of designing a regenerative culture, which is inspiring, which is innovative, which is uncertain, but everything is uncertain in this world. So why not go into this journey to discover and explore new things, which are to the benefit of and industry and society, nature, and the inhabitants. I also want to draw attention to a trend in legal procedures, and we all know the Shell oil company. They were sued in court, and they were ordered to take drastic measures and financial sacrifices to reduce CO2 emissions. It is an unwritten standard of care, which means that it is not written in black and white, as we usually know from the law books, but it is a kind of natural law to take care of your own behavior in relationship to your nature, to your habitat, to the people. And it is important to take into account current and future generations, What I do is to the benefit of my children and my grandchildren. That's why I do what I do. And having a clean environment is simply a human rights, a fundamental human right. What I also want to state is that the Shell Oil Company, as a kind of holding, is required to look and is obliged to look at the group activities and the end users of the projects of Shell in order to make steps to remove pollution, etc. This is a Dutch court rule, but it has implications in international context. So this could be part of the motivation for industries and organizations to really go into a green future without pollution. 3 decisive actions, I will leave that. Because this is the most important thing I want to share, and that is a paradigm shift. If you look at the left side, you see all the needles and the branch separated from each other. It is very manageable because you can count how many needles are there, or to the left or to the right side. And this is how we made our society, our economic thinking, etc. But if you look at the branch itself, you can see the whole thing, and then it starts to get interesting, because what's the worth of one needle when you compared to this branch, which has a lot of functions in nature itself? This brings me to the elements of regenerative leadership. And that is presence, and presence also means awareness of what is happening. So coming back to this whales technology of the flippers, if you are aware of this genius design, you will say, oh, well, let's try, let's do it. Coherence is about systematically and logical consistence of what you're doing. If you say A, then have a look at what are the consequences of what you are saying and what you're doing. Patience. In our society, a lot of young people are in a burnout phase. And patience is not very well introduced in our conduct of business, in whatever business you are, whether it be a financial institution or a factory. Abundance. When you look at nature, nature is abundant, especially when it's a very healthy nature. Looking at our economy, it is based on scarcity. And that's a mental concept, I would say. Silence. In silence, you will receive the answers you are looking for. And silence, being patient, or moments of silence, they are very scarce in our society. And this means that people are getting sick, overburdened, etc. And another aspect is dance with all these things. I'm a dance teacher as well, and I can let you feel the difference between being in a linear system or in a circular system. And last but not least, I simply have a dream. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. He didn't say, I have a plan. But when you look at what this philosophy brought America in the times, in the years after he had said that, it's really amazing. So we need to have a paradigm shift to thrive as a community, to thrive as an industrial community related to nature and to society in general. And leaders don't force people to follow, they invite them on a journey. I simply like this. Also because this is an innocent child, and this child is still open to new possibilities. And for this child, this is the reality, and for the Dutch, it's reality as well. And I want to end with these words, reconnecting with nature is one of the most important things of having a stable environment, a stable way of doing things, and stability in climate, etc. It requires responsibility and solidarity, and our leadership should not be aimed to manage things and to keep things in order, but aimed at well-being and regenerating our world. And as for me, there is no time to waste. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Art. Could you just unshare your screen? So thank you very much to connecting your presentation with my, let's say, drawing attention to the leadership and solidarity, which is being brought apparently from here. So let me for sure, I do hope that I can. Just a second, okay. Is my computer just telling me? Okay, it probably it's okay. I would just. Okay, so can you see my presentation right now? Just connecting. Okay.
Yep.
The whole presentation. Solidarity, regenerative leadership. Okay. So thank you, Art, for bridging me to the from regenerative economy to the leadership paradigm, because COVID has shown all of us how vital is the role of leadership and mutual solidarity in times of crisis. It was a pandemic crisis that put our human values and.
I'm sorry, Barbara, excuse me.
Yeah.
Because I believe you showed us the screen that was supposed to be shown to us. You showed us the presentation, but not the full screen version, but the version with your memos and information.
Okay, so sorry for that. I'm just disappeared all. Okay. Once again, I'm sorry for that.
No worries, try again and I will try to guide you in case of similar issues.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and now we go.
I believe there's supposed to be something like the presenter view, or press this button.
Because so that was the reason I could see only on the presentation.
Exactly. So you were seeing the wrong window. Yeah. So now press the purple button, please.
Yeah. It is working.
It will after you will press the purple button, because we still can see them.
Sharing is stop. Oh. Okay, resume share now.
Okay, so now we can see it in full screen. So it looks like
okay,
so, good. Yeah.
Okay, so I could see my present full screen, so you could see different positions. So, okay, so let's continue. We will continue on this aspect of regenerative leadership paradigm, and I would like to let's say wrap up what are the attitudes of leaders, and when the values of the leadership skills went into the test on the political, social side, as well as the business and education. So General Director of World Health Organization, his name is Tedros Adhanom, in his emotional speech on July 9, 2020, communicated to the whole world that the greatest threat to the world today is not a virus, this is the pandemic crisis, because COVID-19 just is testing the world. And in that respect, humanity is failing for lack of global leadership and global unity, solidarity. By speaking this, he was pointing out that we cannot combat a pandemic in a divided world. So economically, politically, and socially. and that politicization of the pandemic has exacerbated it. So solidarity, the definition of this written with a lowercase letter after Leszek Kołakowski is a value and idea. Solidarity is a sense of shared responsibility in the face of someone's need of misfortune, providing help and support, courageously standing on the side of those who want to show solidarity. Solidarity flows from empathy without any expectations of gratitude. And this solidarity, written with a capital letter, has become a symbol of our city, Gdansk, and spread all around Europe. It was becoming an example of hope and a social movement for the whole world. But as Professor Kołakowski wrote, it is a subject only for historians. We can no longer look into the rear view mirror like Marshall McLuhan, a Canadian philosopher, wrote in the 70s that driving a car with your eyes fixed onto the rear view mirror can only tell you where we have been, not where we are and where we are going to. So our future is very much connected to what we have done in the past with our ecosystems. For that purpose, we need to develop a new roadmap of solidarity with the nature, as Art just already presented. So Gdansk and Baltic countries seem to be the best place to start with the winds of change. And with the rapid changes, the geopolitics of 2021 requires a multi-context, multi-dimensional approach. Management practices applied in the last century no longer are applicable in the contemporary world, because environment threats like climate change and water scarcity are climbing in the global rankings of business threats. Therefore, they can no longer be ignored by business wishing to remain competitive in the long term. We are just witnessing the new business models based on new value chains. Have a look back at what happened a year ago. Due to the pandemic, the mobility of society suddenly died out and the Earth benefited from significantly reduced pollution. The coronavirus has exposed the Himalayas where they have not been seen decades. Such anthropause has also led to the fact that wild animals that had previously been taken away by human activities returned to habitats that now suddenly become available for them. So we human beings should put all efforts to change to Anthropocene into anthropause. To quote Sir David Attenborough, if we take care of nature, the nature will take care of us. The United Nations has marked 2021 as a critical year for a regeneration of our relationship with nature. The United Nations Decade of Ecosystem Restoration is a global cry to heal our planet, preventing, halting, preserving the degradation of ecosystems worldwide. The regeneration that United Nations talks about refers to leading and creating the conditions for continuous renewal of life, the crossing of new forms and thriving in ever-changing conditions of life, with the benefits on age-old land regeneration techniques. So the regeneration of green spaces in cities we are living, giving the right to live to future generations, as was mentioning here, building a solidarity balance to live, just to regenerate the relationship with the nature. Sustainable development is nowadays a narrow-minded approach. Sustainable development means withdrawing or reducing the devastation of the planet in order to maintain a permanent state, and often the response to coercion and sanctions and power. A regenerative mindset, just the reset, is much more promising, and it sees the potential beyond the catastrophic scenarios and seeks to heal and invest rather than pay a penalty for doing the evil. So coming back to the Paris Agreement from 2015 and the Green Deal of European Union, This is the attempt at solidarity-based leadership into the pursuit of zero-emission goals and climate neutrality. But an ambitious European plan can also raise many doubts. To quote Financial Times' just latest issues from the last week, the debate on the future of the emission trade system, as an example, strikes at the basic questions underlying Europe's green agenda. Who will pay for the transformation and how? Are we ready to bear these costs jointly and equally? On the other hand, the environmental ambitions of Brussels are inevitable and necessary. That's the obvious thing. On the other hand, they can plunge Europe's poorest people into the even greater poverty, forcing them to bear the burden of zero carbon drive. So that will be also increasing the gap between the rich and poor even more. And on the other hand, the ambitions and the bold European plans for emissions will simply hit people. And on the other hand, the big giants are given a wing by politicians consenting to breaches of the Paris Treaty. According to the latest Rainforest Action Network analysis, BNP Paribas has the largest absolute increase in fossil fuel financing, with an annual increase of 41% of $41 billion. This happened despite the French bank taking the lead in green finance and signing the United Nations-backed commitment to adjust its portfolio to keep global warming below 1.5 Celsius. And since the Paris Agreement, it has provided a total more than 100 billion in fuel financing fossil industries like BP, Total, Royal Dutch Shell, mentioned by Art, went to the most, and of which said they would cut emissions and invest in renewable energy. Both Shell, BP, and BNP put people first in their values. I would like to alarm, like Art, and draw the attention to the alarm raised by Professor Eva Bińczyk. This is the professor from University of Torun, for the correction of our thinking, such in the broader context of people's shared values. It calls for common sense to manage dramatically shrinking Earth's resources, and regardless of the paradoxes, to make a climate correction in our every action. Even we consider the rights of people to have water, which we will start to lack in Poland soon. This solution can be introduced and based on a new culture of empathy, I call myself, empathy for human beings, animals, water, air, earth. Because the maturity of empathy affects the quality of solidarity, because it determines the standards of communication and cooperation. Empathy deepens empathy and solidarity. The Baltic Sea state sub-regional cooperation is a beautiful example of solidarity leadership. Local solidarity fostering the Baltic cities, academia, business to collaborate against climate changes, Baltic degradation. Yesterday, when I was listening to the sessions, Karin Haipale from Helsinki was calling for action connecting our efforts locally towards 17 sustainable goals globally. Leaders from Baltic regions should, like Asa Bering yesterday, also said that volume up to holistic approach connecting to our efforts. Like an example coming out from our Pomorskie platform, connecting stakeholders for the mutual purpose, renewable energy, wind energy are so crucial to transform our economy into the decarbonized economy. Yet, unfortunately, the Baltic Sea is also a sea with many problems. A sea that is affected by many negative phenomena like climate change, dead zones, hot disappearance, dumped chemical weapons, water pollutions. It is one of the world's most polluted seas. It is a reservoir subjected to enormous atrophication. Finally, it is a sea that, although it does not die, needs our care and action to regenerate it. And when we humans have been harvesting the wind for at least 5,000 years. We have been harvesting the wind for 5,000 years. Now we are proud that Pomorskie is leading the wind energy development. We are privileged to live in such a beautiful seaside environment. Being grateful to our sea and wind and springs, that is our, and I will just say that we should put strong efforts into Baltic regeneration, leading changes locally and showing effects globally. And dreaming, imagining, just to quote David Attenborough, we are the only species that in the world that can envision the future. That is why we need solidarity leadership with nature, that we want to have democratic access to water and clean air. What is why we give impulse to the development of the reborn circular economy. For the development of societies in solidarity, I strongly believe that leaders create a new decarbonized society. We have to be competitive. May we be in solidarity in the climate neutrality movement, creating a new economy without carbon power so that we do not run out of energy. But also we have to create just conditions for societies by education. That is the fundamental role here. The level of education determines the development of ourselves and future generations in sense of solidarity, learning from scratch the values of nature that make us live. So that is why we need leadership in solidarity, supported by examples in actions like we got today from Invest in Pomerania and Pomorskie, serving others. And leaders must take responsibility for the future of nature because it affects the quality of life of future generations. And I would like in the future, and this is in my case 40 years from now, when I compare myself with David Attenborough, that I can face myself openly with my testimony to the next generations of my influence on biodiversity protection, human rights to dignified life, restoration of nature, that the next generations will be able to experience nature personally, not just seeing it only in the rear view mirror. And this is how I imagine the solidarity leadership to regenerate our nature. Thank you very much. May I have a question also? I have to unshare.
Yes, thank you very much for your interesting approach. And I also believe in solidarity because we as human beings, we are social human beings, and we need each other in order to make steps. I have a question for Lukasz. Can he go into plans of Pomerania Offshore Platform in the future, and what are other strategic projects for green energy or maybe even energy saving in Pomerania? During our discussion, we had something about the built-up environment and how to save energy or to make smart grids. Can you please go into that?
Okay, thank you, Ed. So our close future of the Pomeranian Offshore Platform is to develop the supply chain of the entire sector. It also to plan to establish an accelerator for the offshore wind farm industry and to build competence centers. It's very important to build competence centers. Would like to that platform would be umbrella to keep all together investors, example from the factories, companies, people, education systems interested in rise of offshore wind sector, not only offshore wind but also offshore renewable energy, but it's long distance aim, I hope. And this is for the moment. And other strategic projects related to the offshore wind is hydrogen projects, Pomeranian hydrogen value. We believe that there is some kind of symbiosis between hydrogen and wind energy, and this is the way to produce green hydrogen in our region. That Evelina said at her presentation, that we are the leader of the production of hydrogen, but it's black. It's using fossil fuels, and we would like to still be a leader, but in green way. And this is very important. And we would like to promotion and implementation our solution in the field of hydrogen technology, among another, as research and implementation work in the National Hydrogen Technology and Pure Coal Technology Program. On the other hand, we would like to increase the complex of Pomeranian energy islands. It's a number of initiatives aimed at creating energy communities, energy cluster, energy cooperatives, who will create the complex of connections on energy island in our region. I believe they could produce energy using renewable resources and usage that energy to not import energy from other sides of the region, of the country, on other countries. So this is very, very important to be zero waste energy.
What you're telling about this center of excellence or competence or whatever you call it, that interests me very much, because how do you make use of the wisdom of the crowd? This is a modern idea. I know that there are many craftsmen in Poland. I mean, the standards of technical education is very high, not only on academic level, but also on the working floor. How do they have access, or how could they access this center of competence, or how do you spread the word?
So we would like to create some kind of model of education. We don't want to creating something completely new, because the offshore wind sector use the technology that we know, but this technology are put in different schools, and we want to get that competence from different type of schools, put in one place, to give the possibility to rise the competence needed to the offshore sector. And it's very important to be open, to be I missed the word, sorry.
No problem.
To cooperate with schools, with high schools, with university, and also with companies. Companies should give us the list of competence that they need, and to give the experts to the market that will be used. This is some kind of revolution of thinking about the education system to the new market level, to use the analytical thinking to give the answer and to create a new market, because it's new market, it's growing, it's okay. The Evelina showed the scale of the growth from 6 gigawatts and at sea almost to the 90 gigawatts of potential in 2050. So it's huge number of specialists, and our role of the competence center is give the answer, give the expert, the local experts. It's very important, because it's people who will be working in this sector should have short way to the sea, to the wind farms, to the wind towers at sea. So they should live locally. So it's great chance, the great opportunity for the people living in the region. They don't need to leave their homeland. So it's thinking in zero waste economy.
Thank you very much, Lucas. And
thank you, Ed.
This generated the question to Evelina. How do incoming investors relate to what Lucas said about we asked them what competences they need? So that's one question. And do incoming investors think about, talk about, or want to have the status of being green or eco-friendly?
Yes, so as I already mentioned a bit in my presentation, there are investment inquiries which ask us how to obtain the 100 green energy in Poland. It is a process which is, they cannot, it is a pretty complicated process because they can have it in three ways. They can first of all make it themselves, like they can install renewables on their plant, or they can have agreement with wind farm or other renewable energy. This is a person-to-person agreement, company to company, very direct agreement, or they can ask their energy selling company to obtain them certificates, which make them sure that they bought energy that was created throughout wind farm or other renewable energy source. So that is one thing that investors ask. Of course, we also have upcoming investors which, like I said, want to have photovoltaics or wind farms on their plants. So that is definitely something that investors ask. But I have to say, this is not a big number of investors. Actually, we see growing interest in that, definitely, but it could be bigger, you know. We still wish that it would be bigger and it would be more interesting subject in terms of investors. And in terms of what competences do they need, the question you asked first, definitely we are in contact with companies which plan to create wind farms in Baltic Sea. And if they, at this point of time, I don't think we have gotten a lot of requests in terms of talent pool, but definitely in the future we will keep that in mind. We also work very closely with HR companies, so we definitely have our hands on our pulses in terms of what talent pool do they need and what workers, what competences will they need in the future.
So I would just build up the question, because when Evelina says that, you know, this is a huge development in that field, just having the different angle of look coming from Netherlands, a country with the, let's say, huge challenges coming out from nature with the water scarcity and fighting with the climate change. How would you help in investing in Pomerania to attract our investors to our district? Do you think that there are any possibilities of green innovations coming here to Pomerania from your perspective?
Well, unfortunately, I'm not a big investor. I invested in my own house, so that's my financial limit. But what I see are huge possibilities. And I mentioned one, and that is using the whale technology in accelerating the outcome, the output of windmill farms. Because if you can, with the same equipment, have a 20% more increase in output, then that's a real thing. And we talked about cleaning up the water system. What I knew from previous meetings is that sewage water is quite detrimental for the quality of the Baltic Sea, and this goes on and on. And cleaning the water with natural techniques is interesting. As a member of the Water Authority, I was busy with removing pharmaceuticals from wastewater, and it is successful in a natural way. I also mentioned the use of mushrooms in optimizing space. But if you know that mushrooms are the garbage men in nature, you can imagine that some types of mushrooms, I don't know if I want them on my table or in my dinner, but they can remove phosphorus from polluted soil, and they neutralize it. So they do not take it and store it away. No, they really neutralize it. And these are technologies which have a huge potential, provided that you have the space and the possibility to experiment with this. And I would suggest to introduce field labs or experimental experiments places to see how technology or how nature works, next to being educated in understanding or trying to understand nature, as Albert Einstein said. So I see huge potential. I think the openness of mind in Tri-City, in Pomorskie region is big. There are a lot of very smart people. There are a lot of opportunities. There's an international context. The Baltic Sea is a very interesting scenery. So there are a lot of possible combinations, and it needs to connecting the dots and connecting people in the right place, in the right with the right disciplines to accelerate development. So I see a beautiful future with technology of nature, and that's how I see it, how I look at things. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, Ad, for this brilliant summary. It also comes with my memory what once Napoleon said, that Gdansk is everything, is the key to everything. So the Baltic region is the key to everything for the changes we are just striving with, the solidarity leadership all together. I would like to ask, because we are just due to end, is there anybody from our audience to ask questions towards our panelists, and if any insights, takeaways, that will be brilliant for us to have your voice.
May I ask the question or just make a remark?
Yeah, sure.
Barbara, you are talking about the solidarity very much, which is, I think, natural in Gdansk, because let's say Gdansk is as a city of solidarity. But the question is how to do it in a real life, how to do it in practice. For example, the solidarity is a little bit complicated now, because first of all, for example, we have a refugee crisis on our border with the Belarus, and we think that some people say that the solidarity with the refugees is something good, but on the other hand, our government, no, we cannot do anything, because this is a kind of the hybrid war with the Lukashenko. Another example about the solidarity is that I think the rich countries should make something for the poor countries. This is the real solidarity. What can we do to help, let's say, the poor countries in Africa to make their economy to change? So I think the solidarity is very good, but it's very difficult to do it in practice now. Thank you.
May I respond to this question, because it's very interesting. When I look at history of the Netherlands, our golden age was constituted or was developed by refugees. The Jewish refugees from Portugal, they came to the Netherlands, and they are still very influential. So we have scientists, we have bankers, etc. They were all former refugees. So I have a more open mind for refugees, and please take into account that nobody wants to leave his mother country for just the reason of leaving. What I think the real problem is that the refugees you don't want to have, who are making a mess of it, that they are not treated in the proper way so that they can are moved out of the country. At least that's the situation in the Netherlands. Seen from the perspective of a society and the societal animals as we are, I mean, having other cultures is quite beneficial, because change always comes from outside. We had a problem with people from Indonesia, the Moluccas, and we didn't treat them well, but they took care of changing our cuisine, our kitchen, and they brought in other cultures which are now developing or amalgamating with our Dutch society, and they are well-respected citizens. So in a certain way, I'm happy with refugees. And the other thing is, please know that it is in our interest to invest in a proper way in countries that are underdeveloped, because if we don't invest in them, they will come to us and take our richness and our things. So it's in our interest to invest in a proper way in different countries. So thank you very much for the question.
And Rafał, thank you for this comment. Of course, when you don't try, everything is difficult. When we try and doing like it started in 80s with solidarity movements, everything is possible. So step by step, having the focus, having the strategy, clear strategy, what we are supposed to do, building platforms like Łukasz said about gaining academia, business, institutions all together. I know that this is like, a very high level viewpoint, but still when it comes to details, when everybody is responsible, we need responsible leadership and feeling responsibility for changes. So I think this is the method to put it forward.
And leadership is not the prerogative of the higher ranking people or CEOs or whatever. It starts with you as a person. I remember, I read some history, and nobody complained about the Polish division who was freeing Arnhem during Market Garden. And nowadays, there is a tendency of blaming all Polish people in the Netherlands because they drink too much, etc. For me, the Polish people, when they are in the Netherlands, I like them. They bring kielbasa and other Polish products, but they also work hard. They work 6 days a week, which we are too lazy to do. So it is, I think, a kind of mental problem. It's a created problem, a refugee problem.
Yeah, so are there any questions? Because I got information that we should rejoin to another webinar at 12 when we finish. So I think that having such diverse meeting coming from academia, from business, from Netherlands, from Poland, from institutions like Invest in Pomerania and Pomorskie, we can build really together something crucial, not only having the policies, but also coming back and regenerate the nature, because we are responsible for the future sake of our grandchildren and great-grandchildren, what they will have in the future, like we have right now, and how we enjoy our Baltic Sea all together.
I guess this is the end of it. Thank you very much for allowing me to share my ideas with you, with all of you. It was a great pleasure. It was also a great pleasure to be in Gdansk again, and I wish you all the best and a beautiful regenerative future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you as well.
Thank you.